Welcome into Northside Territory, Foul Territory Network's Cubs podcast. I'm Sahadev Sharma with my partner Patrick Mooney. We are your Cubs beat writers over at The Athletic. And Patrick, Jed Hoyer has made a trade. His hand was forced, essentially. The injuries have gotten out of control. They were already stacking up before this four-game set with the Mets started. We've got two more potentially significant injuries. We'll talk more about the injuries in a little bit, but a late night trade with the Mets, getting David Peterson from the Mets. Surface level numbers don't look good, but this is a guy that, puts the ball on the ground, and that works for the Cubs. And frankly, they just need healthy major league arms right now. Beggars can't be choosers.
Yeah, that's a good way to sum it up. And I actually think there's a lot to like, probably because the Cubs are so desperate. But to find a guy who was an all-star as recently as last season, granted he wasn't very good in the second half and has not been good this season, but still, I mean, a nice pedigree as a first-round pick. I think you can't underestimate the importance of escaping a losing situation and just giving the Cubs something to work with. Like, we've seen how they've pretty much depleted all of their pitching reserves. There's not really another guy just waiting there in Iowa that you'd feel comfortable with. And look, I mean, that Mets game Wednesday night, the second half of the doubleheader, I mean, just atrocious defense. Like, you could not have, I think that's going to be one of those games, when our colleagues at The Athletic are writing kind of the autopsy of the season. I think that'll be one of those sort of games or nights when you include the Peterson trade. I know they're saying it's not a full-scale sell-off at this point. I think they can reserve the right to change their mind as well. But, you put escaping New York, Cubs infrastructure, just general change of scenery. Like, we've seen them do more with less before.
Absolutely. I mean, they had Chris Flexen doing decently. Was that last year? It was kind of smoke and mirrors for a while, but he was productive for them and got them through a segment of the season. And Craig Counsell has kind of said now twice, I believe it was Tuesday after Cabrera got hurt, and then Wednesday after we heard about Ben Brown, they just kind of need to get through this segment, like get to the All-Star break. That's how he's kind of looking at it. He's not denying that they're in a bit of a bind. They are short on pitching. This is when you have to make one of those moves. Cole Mathis is a decent prospect. He's hurt a lot. Second round pick from the Matt Shaw draft or Cam Smith draft? Cam Smith draft.
It was Cam Smith, Cole Mathis, and Ronnie Cruz. The top three picks from that draft have all been traded.
Okay, there you go. And Mathis, I did get some good reports on Mathis. I think his inability to stay healthy makes it a little more, digestible for Cubs fans and the org to part with him. But he is a slugger, someone that, if he stays healthy, it could be an interesting prospect down the line. But it's kind of this. I said it to some other reporters yesterday when we got the news of Ben Brown. I was like, okay, now's when you have to make the Quinn Priester type trade. You have to maybe overpay for someone that can give you innings, and maybe that person turns out to be better than you expected. I think you nailed it. The defense is one, and you said the change of scenery. I think just when you're on a team that's struggling, like that type of stuff can snowball, and it can just be hard. Like 6 errors yesterday, maybe if they're a winning ball club, that's a 3-error game just because you lose your focus, you're a little overthinking things, whatever it may be. I think when you're losing as much as the Mets are and struggling, like things do have a way of getting in your head. It's kind of like, we could make the argument, it's kind of like how the offense struggled for so long, and the offense has gotten better. One of those guys that's turned around. He's a key to the defense. Let's make this our Daily Dingers segment presented by FanDuel. We were talking about Dansby Swanson and benching him a week ago, Patrick. We're not immune from this stuff. It was legitimate. It's not like there was an overreaction. It had been quite a while of struggles from Dansby Swanson. But Craig Counsell basically said there were two reasons. The best version of the Cubs is with Dansby Swanson figuring it out, and he is a great defensive shortstop. Jed Hoyer said, we can't run away from our defense. It's our strength. It's the backbone of their team. Dansby Swanson helped win them a playoff series with his glove. Can he help the team make David Peterson a little bit better than he was with the Mets? That's probably what the Cubs are wondering right now.
Yeah, I think the defense stuff, we sort of take it for granted after a while. Like when Jed and Counsell say that sort of stuff, you're like, yeah, but it's super frustrating for fans to watch, those at bats and just how comfortable opposing pitchers seem to get once they got to a certain point in the Cubs lineup, maybe after you face PCA at the top. And the Cubs media relations staff, their research team, had some good ones yesterday. I mean, Dansby, the first player in franchise history with 3 straight 4+ RBI games, and doing stuff that, like, when you're being mentioned next to Ernie Banks and Sammy Sosa in terms of like home run RBI combinations over a certain number of games, you're doing something right.
Yeah, I did feel like he had it was a shortened weekend, I know, but it looked like he was starting to hit the ball on the line a little bit more. That home run he hit that was wind blown, was that against the Rockies? I didn't feel like that game was really the turning point, but he followed it up with some quality at bats in the following games. And seeing that, it's like, oh, okay, he's starting to hit the ball on the line. And obviously the past 3 games, he's done a lot. He's done a lot for this team, and glove, bat, like they need these guys. And right now I think they need the offense to continue to carry them. I don't know how they're going to get through this weekend against the Brewers, but they need to hit it, because it's going to be interesting. I don't, the pitching is just so shorthanded. I know they added David Peterson. They added Bryce Wilson, another name picked up off the waiver wire from the Phillies. Not the same upside as Peterson, but healthy body that can give you innings, maybe give you starts. Northside Territory is brought to you by FanDuel. Baseball fans, the MLB season is in full swing, and FanDuel is giving you a chance to call your shot with Daily Dingers. Joining the action is easy. Just make your free pick on who's hitting a home run in their game, and if you're right, you'll get a profit boost to use on your next bet for a chance at extra winnings. It's just another reason why FanDuel is the home of home runs. So are you ready to play your game? Head over to fanduel.com/podcast to get started. That's fanduel.com/podcast to opt in for Daily Dingers and make your free pick on who's hitting a homer. Play ball and swing for the fences on FanDuel, an official partner of Major League Baseball.
No purchase necessary. Opt-in required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable profit boost tokens. Restrictions apply, including any token expiration and max wager amount. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call or text 1-800-GAMBLER.
Patrick, the injuries, like we said, just don't seem to want to stop for this team. Ben Brown, we got the news probably right after we came up to the press box. That was Wednesday pregame. We'd already gotten news about Edward Cabrera. Obviously, we saw it happen. Ben Brown out. We don't really have a timeline. I think we'll get more news possibly today. He's going to see he went to see the doctors in Chicago, I think yesterday, Wednesday. But it's a neck issue, and it could be the same thing as before, which was an osteoma, was basically like this benign tumor, bone tumor, and it causes pain. He's had it since the start in San Francisco, I think, June 13th. But he's been able to pitch through it, wasn't able to get through his bullpen on Tuesday, and now he's on the IL. He's been amazing for this team. We've talked a lot about him. He deserves a ton of props for the changes he's made. Added that sinker, using his changeup more. Both effective pitches. He's a 4-pitch pitcher now. Very good. Upside is starting to be reached. Really impressive. And this is a huge blow. This is one that it's going to be hard for this team if he's out for a significant period of time. Oh, sorry, you're muted. There you go.
This pitching staff, this is where things get dicey. Like when you wonder, what are they doing in the 6th, 7th, 8th innings, or if you don't like Council's decisions here and there, it's like, well, those could have been Ben Brown's high leverage opportunities, but obviously he's so good in the rotation. There's so much more upside there. You get him moving into the rotation, and we did our midseason grades the other day, and he was one of the few like A-level performers, and this has been really hard, trying to map this stuff out. I feel like you and I, we talk about story ideas a lot. We try to collect things and anticipate. And I wrote something on Ben Brown right before that San Francisco start, or of just like they're treating him with a lot of caution. Like, you want to see how it goes. Okay, he has one good spot start. Fine. All right, he puts together a couple. Oh, wow, like another guy gets injured. Like, he is not only at the front of this rotation, he has a legitimate all-star case, especially when you look at, how those teams are selected, and, guys getting injured, guys backing out, saying they can't pitch. Like, he was on his own worthy of it. And then you add all that other stuff in, I wouldn't have been shocked for him to go back to Philadelphia. The organization that drafted him in a round that no longer exists would have been an amazing story. And now it feels like everything is sort of on hold. When I was researching that story, I was like, yeah, what was that thing he had? And you wrote about it in like the following spring training. Like, it was really sort of mysterious. It was kept under wraps. We didn't really get a very good explanation really until you got him in Mesa the following year. I had to link to that story, and just an unusual situation. You don't know how many more of these blows the staff can withstand. But I do think I'm going back to those midseason grades again of like, they went out and won 3 games against the Mets, and if they can tread water and make it to the All-Star break in a decent position, I think that'll be a big time credit to the front office and the coaching staff for keeping things on track. And once you get past that All-Star break, then it's like, okay, reinforcements should be coming at the trade deadline.
Yeah, I know they get a lot of criticism for the struggles that they've had. They had a lot of depth in the pitching staff to start the season. You cannot plan for 6 starters to be on the IL. You can try, but that's a lot of starters to hit the IL. You just cannot have that many quality starting pitchers, and a lot of the depth that they had didn't work out in a sense. Jackson Wiggins is hurt. Kyle Wright, who they took a flyer on. Like, sometimes you're not going to get guys that are fully healthy to sign to be your 13th starter. You know what I mean? So you kind of have to take flyers on guys and hope they, work their way back. And in an ideal scenario, Kyle Wright would be ready in June. He had a setback in April or whatever, and probably is not going to pitch this season. Those types of things happen, and those are the types of guys you have for depth, because you cannot, like I said, you're not going to go sign anyone great. The other thing I keep seeing is like, what's wrong with the training staff? Look, I think the Cubs need to evaluate all those things, absolutely. But these last 2 injuries, Ben Brown isn't a training staff issue. Cabrera isn't a training staff issue. and I just don't like none of these. It's not like we're seeing a pattern of everyone having the same issue and everyone's elbow blowing out. Uh, that's not to say they shouldn't look into it and try and figure out if they're doing anything wrong. I just think this is a ton of bad luck happening. Um, and some of it is, you've gotten some injury prone guys. I mean, Cade Horton, they drafted a guy coming off like that they knew was coming off Tommy John surgery. Do you want to look at Jackson Wiggins? That's a guy that was injured when they drafted him. Edward Cabrera has a long injury history. So, but it's also just part of pitching. I don't know if there's blame to throw around here, but I do think they do deserve some credit for kind of treading water so far. And if they can really get through the All-Star break, that's when it's impressive. We'll see how this weekend goes as well. Let's take a quick break and come back and talk about what happened with Cabrera.
You know why you're enjoying this minute? Because we're happy, Kratz. We're happy because we're wearing Mack Weldon.
Yes, I'm 6'5", and nobody can give me tall clothing, but Mack Weldon allows me to have it. So I don't really have to care about how I look, and I still look good because I don't put a lot of time into what I do to pick out my clothes. Mack Weldon takes care of it for me.
Classic, always in style, made from the world's most comfortable performance materials. Summer gets sweaty, don't let unnecessary sweat spots emerge. Mack Weldon's Air Knit X fabric helps you out. Their lightest fabric is fused with nylon mesh for maximum airflow. Skip the midday wardrobe changes. The barely there feel also keeps you feeling more dry and fresh. Don't sweat the heat this summer. Feel as effortlessly cool as you look with Mack Weldon. Go to MackWeldon.com and get 20% off your first order of $125 or more with promo code FOUL. That's MackWeldon.com, code FOUL.
So there was Edward Cabrera running to cover first base with 2 outs in the 5th inning. He had looked shaky at times, but bounced back nicely and had only given up 2 runs. Stretches to make a play because it was one of those balls that went in between Bush and Horner, and Nico made the play. Yeah. It was a tough play. It was a bang play. He had to stretch to make it. I can tell you that when I watched him, he kind of jumped up and was almost trying to will himself, I'm not in pain, this doesn't hurt, and had to crumple to the ground and couldn't really carry his weight. It was he was that initial move. I was oh, maybe he's okay, because he kind of hopped up, and you thought, okay, he felt a little something, but he's good. He's just testing it out, and it was instant, going back to the ground. Craig Counsell's reaction was kind of like dropping his head, really again, another one. That was, I think, I can't remember his pitch count, but my guess is that was probably it for Cabrera too. And it's just these types of things. It's Shota covering first last year. That happened, and that was a huge blow. The hamstring. This is also being called a hamstring. They're not giving us a timeline. I heard a little more severe than Tyone, so maybe a little bit longer than him, but not significantly so. That's the initial hope. I think we'll get more information as the days go, and we have a clearer plan for how he'll come back. But this is, I know Edward Cabrera hasn't been living up to the hype just yet, but this is just keeps the gut punches just keep coming for this team.
Yeah, at least Cabrera is a capable, competent major league pitcher. There's no question about that. He hasn't been as good as the Cubs hoped. It's left a lot to be desired, but to me, someone you'd want to just keep going out there in the hopes that it does click, because the stuff, his physicality, all of it is very impressive. And I guess if you're an optimist, you can look at that kind of August, September playoff push, that maybe the Cubs will have a bunch of pitchers come off the injured list and get healthy and be relatively fresh. But again, there's a long way to go to just get there. And I think this is, why that 10-game losing streak was so frustrating, of just like, it just felt like they immediately gave their margin for error right back. That, if you, granted, they had a lot of crazy walk-off wins too, so like maybe they are kind of where they deserve. But if you just were able to shorten that extended skid just a little bit, you'd have a little more maneuverability. If the Brewers weren't as good as they've been this year, I think you might feel slightly better about things. But yeah, just really, it goes back to, we talked about it before, you've written it for The Athletic, of just so many logical offseason moves for the Cubs just have not panned out yet.
Yeah, I mean, the offense is starting to pick up, and that's what they need. They need the offense to kind of carry them right now. Maybe we'll see that. It's going to be really or maybe we're just seeing them feast on lesser pitching. But they're going to obviously be tested this weekend. 3 really good pitchers: Mizorowski, Kyle Harrison, and I believe Brandon Woodruff is going game 3. And that's, I mean, the first 2 are studs this season. They've been absolutely brilliant. And they dominated the Cubs the first time they faced them. So it's not going to be an easy weekend, and it could be a disheartening one for Cubs fans. I know that first series that was like kind of right in the middle of the 10-game losing streak. I can't remember if it started it or if it was right in the middle of it, but it was it kind of was an exclamation point as far as like, this team is a much better than the Cubs right now. They kind of emphasize that. We'll see if that's still the case. If the Cubs offense can put up some runs against these guys, I think that's how you build confidence and say, this is how we get through this. Our pitching is going to take some hits. We haven't even talked about the bullpen. I think the bullpen's really shaky right now. I don't feel confident in anyone going out there and having a clean inning. It's almost like they have to just like build up a big enough lead and hope it's not given up. And that's kind of what the last few games have been. So we'll see how rough it gets. They have kind of caught up in a sense, like gotten some of these wins back with this mini winning streak here, this stretch here. I think this is the first time they're 6 games over 500 since like May. I may be wrong on that. I looked this up. It was during the 10-game losing streak. So it's been a little bit since they've been to this point. They need to just try and stack some series wins, eke out some wins against the Brewers if they can, and hope they get healthy at the All-Star break. I think that's their best bet.
No doubt.
All right, let's wrap this up. This is Northside Territory. Make sure to rate, review, subscribe. Subscribe to the YouTube channel and subscribe to The Athletic, where Patrick and I are on top of all things Cubs. Thanks so much for listening and watching. Take care.